Hello, and welcome back to another AP Sports video. Today, I'm going to be talking about Isaac Okoro and another draft analysis. We're starting to creep up on the NBA draft. November 18th is the date, and I'm trying to knock out as many of these as I can. But today I'll be talking about Isaac Okoro, 6'6" forward from Auburn. He's only about 19 years old, and he is a freak of nature. But before I get into that, please go ahead and subscribe, like the video. It would help a lot. Please, we've been doing really well recently. My most recent Denny Avdija video did fantastic, and so did the Chicago Bulls video. So if you could show us some love and subscribe, it would be much appreciated. But to get into the main topic today, Isaac Okoro is where it's at. 6'6", athletic freak. His defense is definitely what he's most well known for. He is probably the best defender in this draft by a pretty good margin. I mean, he's great man-to-man. He's got really good team defense. His basketball IQ helps him out a lot because he can analyze the floor and figure out what's going on. But not only can he do that as a role player, but at Auburn, he did that as the main guy. I mean, he was all SEC defense. He was the SEC Defensive Rookie of the Year. And everything about what Isaac did, sorry, he wasn't the Defensive Rookie of the Year. He made the SEC second team for defense. But Isaac is a freak of nature. Like, he has some of the best dunks I've ever seen. Like, I'm not even kidding. His dunks are amazing. He elevates with such force. I mean, he throws it down. Like, he reminds me a lot of Russell Westbrook with his dunks, which is saying something. But, I mean, he throws them down. It's a hammer every time. I'm sure you're watching some right now, but, like, my God. There's one where he absolutely cocks it back with two hands, full extension, and just yams it. This was in a high school game. And his college dunks have been great too, but that's just a testament to Isaac's natural athletic ability. It's up there with the best in this draft. I would argue possibly the best or second best, up there with Edwards and LaMelo. Like, freak of nature athlete. And then there's his defense, which I've talked about. He's a great one-on-one defender. We saw him lock up Anthony Edwards when they played. Auburn blew out Georgia. I have to say, Auburn was a much better team all around. Georgia really only had Anthony Edwards, whereas Isaac Okoro was surrounded by other guys. But their matchup, I watched that game. I actually watched every offensive possession from each of those players. So it was Anthony Edwards versus Isaac on one end, and it was Isaac versus Anthony on the other end. And I was really impressed with what I saw. I mean, Anthony Edwards was great. He's a great player. He's probably could go 1, 2, or 3 in this draft. But I really think Okoro outplayed him in this game. He was blocking shots. I mean, he's only 6'6", and he was getting up and blocking everything that came near the basket. He was hitting some step-back threes, which is not really in his bag, but he was doing it anyway. He was playing really good defense on Anthony Edwards, and he was playing really good switch defense on anybody. Like, he was really locking up 1 through 4 with ease. With that said, those are a lot of his strengths. I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of his weaknesses. The one thing holding Isaac back from, I think, being a literal all-star, all-NBA team guy is his shooting is way too inconsistent. He can't really be consistent with his shot, and we've seen that. If he can somehow fix that, then I would take him number 1 in this draft, but he hasn't fixed it up to this point. He's shooting somewhere around like 29% on like 3 attempts a game. He's taking 3 a game. I've seen somewhere like he's taking a lot for how really he's not amazing at shooting. Another thing with him, same with Denny Avdija, their free throws. I mean, just not that good, and we've seen it in the past. Bad free throws never really translate into a good shooter. Statistically, it really doesn't happen very often coming out of college or overseas to the NBA. If you have a bad free throw percentage, statistically, you're not going to be a good three-point shooter. But maybe Isaac can break the mold. Okoro also really isn't that big. Like I said, he's a freak of nature athlete. Really ridiculous what he can do as an athlete, but he's 6'6". He has a 6'8.5" wingspan. I mean, he's big. Obviously, 6'6" as a normal person is really big. I'm 6'3" and I'm seen as a big guy, but 6'6" is massive. But as a forward in the NBA, it's not giant, and that's a problem, especially when he's going to be seen as the guy who's going to lock down these 7 foot, like MPJ, 7 foot forward. DeAndre Hunter, like 6'8", Cam Reddish, 6. These are big guys. I really like Okoro. I think he's great defensively on the perimeter and down low, but in college, he wasn't going up against NBA talent that was 6'9", 6'10", like Bam Adebayo. Guys like that, he's going to have a hard time defending unless he can progress physically. I do also have to say he's 19. He was actually born in 2001, which I think is crazy because I was born in 2002. So that's just mind-boggling to me that he's out there about to get drafted into the NBA and I'm sitting here making a YouTube video. But that's nothing to talk about. I mean, Isaac is awesome. He turns 20 in January, late January of 2021. And I mean, he still has room to grow. 19-20, I mean, there's been guys that have put on 1 to 2 inches in that time frame. So I think he can get it done. There is a question in the air about Isaac Okoro, and that's his playmaking, because everything I watched showed me that he is a very capable playmaker. His IQ is too high. His basketball IQ is too high to be a bad playmaker, but he does have a tendency to go for that shot and really not give the ball up, and that could cost him, but at the same time, he's also shown the ability to find the open guy. Like against Georgia, I watched a lot of that game. I really didn't just watch the highlights, but he made the right pass a lot of the time. Like he'd get that open jumper, and it really wasn't like wide open. There's still somebody there. He just needed to make that one more pass to the corner, and he did. He would drive, the defense would collapse, and he'd flip it to the big man down low. And I was impressed because everything I had read had showed me that he wasn't an amazing playmaker, or he wasn't even that good at playmaking, and he has potential to be a good playmaker. And that's why I think if the Bulls were to take him, I wouldn't be too upset. But yeah, Okoro, I think he can be an all-star guy. This draft has been seen to be more like, it's not really top heavy because it doesn't have that number one guy, obviously. And then like, it's really just a lot of depth, but not a lot of superstar talent. And I wouldn't say Isaac could be a superstar with his jumper. He doesn't have any mid-range game to speak of. He can't really shoot consistently, and his free throw isn't good. But in 2 to 3 years, if he lands on the right team and is given the keys, not the keys, but if he's given the ability to do what he does best, and that's use his defense to elevate his offense, keep defenders scared, or keep offensive players scared of him, and gets to the basket like he did in college, he could be a Jimmy Butler type guy. I mean, Jimmy Butler's a top 10 player in the league with no jump shot. Obviously, he can hit the mid-range jumpers, which Isaac can't do right now. He hasn't really shown any interest in shooting mid-range jumpers, but if he somehow develops that into his game, he can be a Jimmy Butler. That's his ceiling. His floor is nothing. He could literally be bad because his shooting is bad, and if he's 19, if he somehow develops into more of an injury-prone guy, he did get injured at Auburn, I could see problems arise with that. But Isaac has grown up with pressure. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, which, in my opinion, is pretty important because it shows that you have poise. You can take the stress of being a 5-star, everybody looking at you as like 16, 17, 18-year-old. I think you can translate that to the NBA pretty well. And it depends on how you handle that fame. Isaac is a really humble, down-to-earth guy. I like his personality, and Off the court, he seems really like a nice dude that just wants to play some basketball for the NBA, and I fully agree with Isaac because that would be a dream. But where I see Isaac ending up, so if I'm being real, I think that the Atlanta Hawks have a serious chance to get him because 1, 2, 3 are basically either Edwards, LaMelo, or James Wiseman, maybe Denny. The Bulls are looking really primarily for Denny, in my opinion. There's been rumors about the LaMelo, but I don't think they would go and draft Isaac without drafting. If Denny and LaMelo are off the board, Isaac could totally be there, and I can see us picking him, but I don't know if they will. And then 5 is the Cavaliers. I think that they could pick him. Let me check real fast. I think that they could pick him because they need somebody who can create a shot, especially driving. Like Darius Garland's 6'1", he's not getting to the basket. Him and Colin Sexton, oh my God, that would be amazing. I would love to see that. Like him and Colin Sexton could be elite, literally elite. Trying to check, I'm making sure the Cavs have the 5th pick. 2019. Pretty sure they do. I don't want to risk it though. They do. Okay, there's no need in checking. But the Cavs are the 5th. I think that if they picked Okoro, it would be great. But if Obi Toppin is available, they should totally take him because his offensive production is off the charts, and they need a guy who can give them a spark. And Isaac can't shoot. Isaac is pretty small for his position. And the Cavaliers, I think, could benefit more from Obi Toppin, but that's up to them, obviously. I do see Isaac falling down to the Hawks at number 6. And if the Hawks can get him at number 6, that would be an absolute steal because I don't want to say that would be a steal because I just named why those teams wouldn't pick him, but they would be doing very well. I think they would have picked the best guy left off the board in Isaac Okoro. He's not generational, he's a good player. And he's shown that he's a good player through years of high school ball and a fantastic year at Auburn where they exceeded all expectations. If the season had continued, they definitely would have been NCAA tourney. Like, they could have gone. They went to the Final Four last year, then they lost all their prospects. They could have gone again with Isaac. But the Hawks, if they were to get Okoro, would have 3 fantastic forwards in DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, and now Isaac Okoro. That's a great unit of forwards to have, especially defensively. Okoro could already be better than both Cam and DeAndre at defense. He could develop into a decent shooter, and if that's the case, then he's going to be scary next to John Collins, Trey, Clint Capella, although I don't know if they'll have him for that much longer if they ended up trading him. But Okoro's the guy for the Hawks, in my opinion. If they were to pass, the Pistons, I think, would end up picking him because him and Blake Griffin's pretty old with a big contract, and they're not going to pay him after his contract's up. So it's tricky for the Pistons because they really got unlucky with that 7 pick when they need a franchise guy. Like, they need a LaMelo Ball type prospect. I know I've had my issues with LaMelo, but the promise is there. He can be a literal superstar. Anthony Edwards could possibly be a superstar, but these teams at 3, 4, 5, 6 don't want to take that risk. The Pistons and the Hornets are the 2 teams I can see making that pick. The Pistons are too far back, and the Hornets are 3, and the Timberwolves could mess up and pick LaMelo, or they could grab Anthony Edwards. I think the Hornets will get either Edwards or LaMelo. So Pistons with Okoro would do quite nicely, but I think that Hawks are going to grab him at 6. That's going to be it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. Isaac's going to be a great player, and I hope he gets a long and healthy career. But while you're still here, please subscribe and like the video. It helps a lot. Keeps us motivated to keep going and keep making these draft videos. I'm going to try and make a lot of these before the draft on the 18th. That's in, 10 days? 9 days from now for me of the time of this recording. So it is what it is. I think that this is going to be a good draft. I'm excited. With all this research I've been doing, I'm excited to watch it because I just want to see where these guys land. Like, this is going to be an entertaining draft because we don't know. There is no Zion. There is no Andrew Wiggins. Like, it's finally a draft where we don't know what's going to happen, and that's what's so exciting about it. But thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.